Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Chris and this is the Christopher Scott channel. Before we get into today's video, I want to do a quick little giveaway. It's nothing major, but I figure if I'm going to try to sell my merch, I probably should wear it. As much as I love Ice Cube, wearing my own merch is probably imperative to trying to sell it. So if you want some Christopher Scott angelfish merch, find that at freshwaterscrub.com and use the code MERCH for 10% off your entire order. That could be plant, terrarium tools, sponge filters, Christopher Scott merch, either this or the Arowana merch, whatever it may be. I do want to give away a piece of merch today. So all you have to do to enter is simply comment below. Let me know your favorite fish. I will use a random comment picker and I will pick a random comment on Wednesday, November the 22nd. And we'll release that in that video on that day. So make sure you comment below and let me know what is your favorite fish. I will package you up a t-shirt and I will send that to you if you are the random person chosen. So make sure you enter now and you can comment as many times as you want. The more comments, the more likely you are to win. So with that, let's get into today's video. So listen, I've done reviews on Walmart aquarium products before, and chemicals, food, things like that, they sell name brand things. They also sell name brand aquariums and things like that, but the problem is that there's just nobody in there to really truly inform the consumer on what they're getting into. And well, like always, I'm looking for video ideas and I'm walking through Walmart, and this is what I found. What is this monstrosity? This is what they're calling a hydroquarium. I keep hydroquariums in all kinds of tanks. Like this epic waterfall tank. This thing's actually broken down right now, but let me know in the comments, should we revitalize this thing? Let me know. So the concept is super cool. However, this is not. And we're gonna talk about why. That's right here. This is the product. They are calling this right here an aquarium. Now granted, it is a container. It will hold water, and you know how I am. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know that I like to make all kinds of aquariums out of containers. But this container right here is this big. They call it a half a gallon. And the great thing is they put on here on the back that it is a half a gallon and it is ideal for 1 to 2 fish. I have the perfect idea for what type of fish we're gonna put in here. And I'm gonna show you those here in a little while. But for now, we need to go ahead and set this guy up, get this thing going, because we're gonna be stocking this with fish today. In order to get this set up, we're actually gonna need some supplies. First off, I need a plant. I don't know what kind of plant I'm gonna put in here, but we're gonna go find a plant and then we'll get back and get this thing set up. Well, since I bought the hydro aquarium, I guess we need to go ahead and pick up a plant for this thing, and that's why we're here at Lowe's. This little red vein plant will be absolutely wonderful, and we're gonna recover this thing because it doesn't look that great, but that's okay. Let's get this thing home and get this thing set up. And also, I'm really sorry about the audio. I don't have my microphone on my camera today. It's actually at home charging, and I wasn't expecting to buy all this stuff today. So let's get back to the house. We are going to be setting up this little, I had to look at the box to see what it's called. They call it a hydro aquarium. This thing was like $10. Now granted, I'm not gonna knock on this completely because it is a cool concept and it helps you get into the idea of doing hydroponic growth inside of your aquarium. However, I just don't agree with putting 2 fish inside of a half gallon. But then again, we have some really epic, massive, crazy predators that we're gonna be putting in here. In fact, we may put more than 2. I'm just saying, just bear with me until the end when you see what we put in here. But we are going to be setting this little guy right here up today. And to start, we need to go ahead and plant it. And what we're gonna be planting it with is this little red vein plant. And I've actually used these red vein plants in other setups. In fact, if you take a look at this setup right here, while you're looking at this setup, tell me, this thing has been broke down and actually has been stored. Should I revitalize this setup? Because I really do happen to like it. We could breed some guppies in here or all kinds of things. But we're gonna be using this red vein plant in this setup today because they do really well growing them hydroponically. And in fact, you can actually put this plant completely underwater and it'll grow. I've done that many, many times. So we're gonna be using this. Now with this hydro aquarium, it actually came with a small little bag of rocks and some little clay beads, which is not gonna do a whole lot of nothing. So we're going to be using some ceramic media that I used in my last build. If you haven't seen that, I did a fully aquascape setup in an Oase Biorb tube aquarium. Super cool setup that you can see right here. But if you want to go back later after this video and watch that, you totally should. But it came with all of this ceramic media, and this stuff is actually really nice. So we're going to be using this to plant our plant today. Now, before we actually plant this and get it ready for an aquatic or an aquaponic setup, we need to first prepare this plant. So let's get over here and do that now. Now to prepare this, it's pretty simple actually. What we're gonna do is just go ahead and squeeze this entire thing out of the pot, just like this. And if you notice, this thing's gonna kind of fall apart because these are individually in here. So that's one plant, probably three in this one. There's two, oh, maybe four. There's three, and then here's our fourth one. All we really wanna do is make sure that we get it down to the root system here, because we wanna make sure it's nice and clean, because we don't want any of the nutrients or fertilizers that they may have put in this plant at the farm. So as far as setting up this top portion, what we want to do is just go ahead first off and clean off any of the dead plant or some of the leaves that maybe aren't looking so great. So we're just going to clip these off and get this going nicely. All right, all looks good. So what I'm going to do is take this and just make sure that the roots would be submerged in the water. Now what we'll do is we'll just pour the rock over the top of it. And we now have our pot essentially of media and plants. So our plant is done. Now we need to work on a scape for this. We're gonna start with a little planted substrate. And the reason I'm gonna put the planted substrate in there, so there are, enough nutrients in this particular setup to promote plant growth. So we're just gonna drop this right here on the bottom. We don't need a lot. Just a little bit. So now that we have our planted substrate in the bottom, it's time to go ahead and kind of do some sort of a basic level scape on this. So we have a few rocks and I have a little remnant from some driftwood from the last scape that I did that we're going to use. And there's not going to be anything crazy to this, but we'll just kind of place it in here like so. Actually, you know what? This guy fits perfectly on this rock right here. We're going to go ahead and glue this guy down right here. So what I'm going to use, a little tiny piece of paper towel. And then what you do is you separate each little sheet. So a paper towel is actually like multiple sheets that's been kind of put together, and cheap paper towels are the best thing for this. And these are not cheap paper towels, so it's hard to pull them apart. There you go. You can kind of see it coming apart as a sheet. So what I want to do is just have a little bit of the paper towel, and I'm going to ball this paper towel up as flat as I can get it. And I'm going to lay it here across this and place this piece of driftwood right on top of it like this. Trying to get as much contact between the wood and the rock as I possibly can, just like that. So once we have this kind of put into place, what we're going to do is take some super glue. And now super glue, the type of super glue is super important. It's got to be cyanoacrylate. Specifically, not the gel, not anything crazy, not expensive. You really want just the cheap old super glue, and you want to get a nice coating on there. And what happens is it almost turns that piece of paper towel into a piece of concrete. I mean, it is rock solid once you get this stuff together and it dries. And it makes a beautiful contact point right there. You can kind of see it. We're going to fix that in just a second. So now that that's there and it's dry, we're going to add a little bit more super glue to just the part where the paper towel's at, and we're going to sprinkle some sand over it. We'll come back to this side and do the same thing to this side, and now we have something that'll hold this driftwood down. It looks naturalistic and it'll go perfect in this little tank. So with that, let's go ahead and see where this thing is going to fit. So we're just going to sit it back kind of like right here, just like that. We're gonna go ahead and cap this planted substrate as well. Might as well go ahead and turn this into a nice half-gallon scape. So I'm going to take some capping substrate here, dump that right in there. I'm gonna use my little brush. These brushes come in my terrarium toolkit that you can find at freshwaterscrub.com. Remember, use the code MERCH for 10% off your entire order, which includes plants, merchandise, terrarium tools, sponge filters, whatever it may be. We've now capped this off. Go ahead and add our driftwood back in here. Add these little rocks. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a little detail element. And with that, guys, this little scape is pretty much done, with the exception of adding maybe some plants in the bottom. I don't know, we'll see. But for now, this thing's done. So let's go ahead and fill this thing up with water and get the water dechlorinated so we can get out and get these crazy, massive predator fish for this aquarium. So what we're gonna start with is some Christmas moss. And Christmas moss is a great little plant that is so low tech. You really don't need a lot of light. You don't need a lot of fertilizers for it. Nothing like that. But this is a great little plant and it'll do perfect in here. So what we're gonna do, lift up this piece of driftwood. We're gonna lay this like right here where it kind of grows up out from under the driftwood, because it will in fact grow. And that pretty much makes our scape complete. Try to get all the bubbles off the acrylic here. All right, and with that, we're done. So let's go ahead and get some dechlorinator in here and get this thing ready to go. I'm gonna be using some of our favorite API product to dechlorinate this, Aqua Essential. This little bitty bottle right here is 8 fluid ounces and it treats 2,370 gallons. The water mixed up. This guy is now completely dechlorinated and ready for some fish. So let's set this in here, make sure that we've got plenty of room and everything looks good. All right, guys, let's get out and get our crazy predator fish for this amazing hydro aquarium. Well, guys, we are here at the fish wholesaler and we are picking up some monster fish for this new hydro aquarium. So let's take a look and see what we should get today. Oh my gosh, guys, totally not related to what we've set up today, but I will be buying this guy right here at some point. This is a Mexican hogfish and he is so interactive. Look at him. Such a cool fish and apparently super hardy. Do you know anything about the Mexican hogfish? It is a saltwater fish, but I definitely think I want this guy. So let me know in the comments. So back to the fish. And we found it, guys. This right here is going into our half-gallon. I'm totally just kidding. We would never do that to a living creature. But we did pick something out that will be going into this aquarium today. And you'll just have to wait and see what it is once we get back to the house and get it acclimated. So we'll see you back there. We are back with fish for this amazing aquarium right here. And in fact, we got some of the biggest predators known to man that are gonna make this absolutely complete. And those predators are none other than... That's right, ghost shrimp. Why? Well, because this is a half-gallon aquarium, guys, and I would not subject anything more than ghost shrimp to this half-gallon aquarium. Definitely don't follow the instructions on the back that says 1 to 2 fish, because I would never do that. Do I think that a betta fish can live in a half-gallon aquarium? Yes. If you're an experienced fish keeper and you understand water parameters and how to actually keep fish, very much so. But for a beginner, for somebody that's going to walk into Walmart and buy a setup, absolutely not. Somebody that doesn't have the experience, absolutely not, because you have to stay on top of these water parameters significantly at a half-gallon. Could I put a betta fish in here and have it survive? Yes, I could. Have I done it? I have in the past. I'm not going to do it again because there's just not enough enrichment in here for a betta fish, so I would never do that. And 2 fish is absolutely crazy. However, we are going to introduce quite a few ghost shrimp to this, and this will be a perfect setup for them. So let's go ahead and get these guys in here. With that, guys, this aquarium is completely done. We have stocked it with some ghost shrimp, which will do fantastic in here, and everything looks good. So let's take a closer look at this thing. Well, hopefully you went on to enjoy this video and you enjoyed watching us set up this little hydro aquarium. This thing is not something I would normally buy or use. However, since they had it, we figured we'd set it up. And it turned out pretty good. You gotta admit, I mean, to aquascape something this small, it's fun and it's challenging, and this is a basic little scape, but it turned out okay. And it'll be a perfect home for these little ghost shrimp. And we'll watch them grow, we'll watch the plant grow. You can see some new growth on the top of the plant here, which is good. This guy right here is falling down a little bit, and that sometimes happens when you unpot a plant and put it immediately in water, but it will recover over time. So make sure you stay tuned and check on the updates on this guy. But with that, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Links to both are down below, as well as visit freshwaterscrub.com, pick up your Christopher Scott merch or plants or terrarium tools or anything else that we have out there, sponge filters, and use the code MERCH for 10% off of your order. And as I said in the beginning of the video, if you would like to enter for your chance to win a piece of Christopher Scott merch, just simply comment below your favorite type of fish. The more comments, the more likely you are to win. I'm going to pick one lucky winner on Wednesday, November the 22nd, using a random comment picker, and I will ship you one of these t-shirts for free. So with that, guys, thank you so very much. I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you, and hey, we will see you next time.